Hey y'all, it's Alex and welcome back to my channel. Over here we have day 22, which was the full feature-length episode, and you can check that out in the top right corner. Today's color is Tangerine from Dr. P.H. Martin's Bombay India Inks line. The prompt word is ancient, and I feel like it's very fitting that a few days ago for Treasure, we got the Bombay Sepia, which is like the closest to a gray that I have in that line. And then of course for Ancient, we get Tangerine, which is probably the brightest color in this entire set. Just so fitting. For the thumbnails today, I originally was going to go with like a community of ancient witches from different civilizations were coming together, and this one is like a young witch has encroached upon their resting place and the witches of all the different societies are coming to investigate. However, given the fact that on day 22 we did 5 people, and on day 21 we technically did 6 people, I don't really want to do that many people. I'm gonna kind of like step my game down a little bit, because I'm trying to simplify my pieces a little bit again. I feel like I got a little bit over the top for a while. I resketched these two down here, and I think we're gonna go with this one. So I've already set up my piece in a portrait style. Probably work on the main figure in the middle here first, then the one down here, and then we'll have a third person here. Instead of doing a circular shield like I drew in the thumbnail, I think I'm going to do a more traditional style of shield. These are going to be little gems here on the points of this pentagram. So my idea is that this figure in the middle is a statue of an ancient defender of wherever this happens to be, and this is a statue dedicated to them. And then it turns out that that person is an immortal, so they're being brought to visit the statue by another party who, not sure exactly what the deal is here. Maybe they're an apprentice this immortal has recently taken up. I want it to be a full face mask. Maybe. I'm definitely gonna put them in armor. I'm gonna play off of a design. Put some of these runes I've been making on the mask. That feels a little cheesy. I'm not exactly liking that. Maybe the mask will be at her feet, because I much prefer having a face there. That head is way too big for that body. I'm gonna try to actually draw lips. Usually that doesn't go too well. Let's zoom you guys in now. Not liking that hair for whatever reason. We're gonna get the nose completely wrong for how I'm envisioning this character. We'll give her a braid crown. We're gonna have her hair kind of like cascading around her. We'll hint at horribly constructed women's armor behind the tabard. I don't know how tall exactly I want her to be, but since this is the statue, I think we can kind of exaggerate her height. We'll put some iconography on the skirt, maybe like a coat of arms. I'm gonna put her up on a pedestal. Alright, so now we have to figure out what we want her other arm to be holding. And also whether or not we want to have a witch's hat on her. I don't think I want a witch's hat on her. I also want to add some small other details of armor. One of my favorite parts of armor are these So I have two favorite parts of armor that I've included in here. First are pauldrons, which are the shoulder caps, and I've loved these ever since starting to play Fallout 3. Because they use a lot of pauldrons in their raider outfits, and also the armored vault armor. And then the second thing that is also replicated in a lot of armor are these tassets. They're thigh protectors. And I just think they add a lot to the armor. Now, it probably wouldn't make a lot of sense to have tassets underneath of a tabard like this, but historical recreations of ancient outfits aren't always 100% accurate. Now I want her to also have a pair of gauntlets. So if she was holding a staff, in an inaccurate recreation of a woman warrior, let me look up. So even in like pictures of, or not pictures, paintings of Joan of Arc, she's in full armor except for her hands and her helm. So I think we're going to continue that, or at least replicate that. So I have her in, and chainmail doesn't make sense for, well, yeah, I guess it does make sense. I'm gonna give her a metal bracer, and then she'll have chainmail all the way up her arm like that. And we'll actually do the chainmail in detail instead of me just doing a whole bunch of squiggles. That's just a loose approximation. I want the staff to kind of go up like that. I might have to reposition her arm a little bit. We're gonna go for a pretty straight staff. I want this to look less wild than my staff on day 16 did. So to kind of tie back to the spike that's on her shield, her staff is going to have floating spikes up off the top of a massive gemstone. So her elbow is going to have to move here a little bit. I think she's also going to have one pinky up, just to show how delicate she is, while still being able to fight. So we'll start on the immortal. I want them to be a little higher up. To kind of tie from the spikes here to the spikes to the new character, she's going to have spikes on her jacket. Some parts of your style you just can't get rid of, you know? I think I'm gonna give her a pixie cut. So for this lady over here, I'm kind of doing like a punk modern witch. She's evolved her style since the events of the statue. So I want to have like a little nameplate down here. And I'm thinking that I'm going to use the name Mintaka for this protector. And Mintaka is the last star in the belt of Orion. Not by far my favorite star in all of the constellation. I'd say that Meisa is probably a better name. However, I feel like Mintaka fits this character a little better. Maybe we'll also give her a little familiar, so that way it's a little easier to tell it's the same person. Nah, that looks weird. X-nay that. Maybe this entire museum hall is dedicated to this protector. So there's a little statue of gonna give it wings as well. So we will see how much detail we're gonna put in the background depending on how big this other person over here is. Maybe we'll have two. Can't get her face to look right. That face shape is a little weird, mostly because her cheekbone is so low. So the story I've kind of started building in my head as I've been sketching this is the immortal who is depicted in this statue is trying to convince these two girls who are twins to join her and become her apprentices. This girl up front is skeptical, and then this girl back here is awestruck. This piece is feeling very bottom heavy. We'll have to figure out a way to fix that in the top here. And also I just realized that we have an orange for this piece. Keep forgetting about that.
Yeah?
This piece feels very bottom heavy. I think I'm gonna get rid of this.
Funny enough.
Do you like it being bottom heavy?
No, I think you need a bigger pedestal if that's a statue.
I was planning on it being just like she's standing just on her feet.
It's hard to tell because you've got...
So I think I'm going to get rid of the familiar in the background.
Okay. Yeah, I would just do some architecture back there. I mean, pillars, windows. You can do some like straight lines, not have to worry about people.
Yes. Now that we've widened the base, let's just kind of even it up a little bit. And that lets us make a bigger nameplate for her. Alright, so for iconography that we can put on her tabard, so maybe this is kind of like a coat of arms, as well as, nah, not like that. I think that if this is just a marble statue, I don't know whether or not you'd have any detailing on the fronts like you would on like an actual garment. So why don't we go through and add like the hints of the museum that they're inside of. Also have to continue putting her hair down here. I think we're gonna have a large window in the reverse shape of her shield right above her. And we'll kind of represent the pentagram inside of here. Maybe we'll have some pillars leading up from that window. And we'll continue putting windows around that one. And these will just be regularly paned square windows. So using this point as the centerpiece. So this probably isn't accurate to any Greco-Roman architecture that actually exists, but I'm just kind of making what would probably be the architecture in whatever magical universe this takes place in. Why don't we start with accessories? So because this statue most likely isn't naturally enhanced, I'm going to have like a hint of wire keeping up each of the spikes. So maybe in this world, the magic of witches is an ancient mystery. So its practice has long since died out in the mainstream. And that's why this witch is hiding out in modern clothing and trying to convince these two girls that they should let her teach them magic. Don't know exactly how I'm going to go about doing the chainmail, so we'll save that for a minute. We'll do the rest of her armor first. I kind of regret giving her lips. I think they always look weird in my style. Don't know why my hand is more shaky today than most days. Alright, let's see about doing this chainmail texture. So I might just do it kind of like scale mail instead of chainmail. Scale mail is a lot easier to keep in order, in my opinion. My scales on this side are a lot wider, so let's see if we can kind of start to narrow them down a little. Yeah, these are starting to get a lot pointier than the other side. Started off I started off okay, then I went all sorts of wrong. Alright, that's okay. The statue is done. Don't know whether or not I want to go to Modern Mintaka first. Oh, I should probably work on her base. Gonna zoom you in real close for my shitty handwriting. Alright, so on to Modern Mintaka. Those eyes are a little uneven. Oh wow, I'm blowing out that image. Sorry about that. Huh. That's why. Holy crap. I only had one of my lights on that entire time, so I'm sorry if that was a little dark. I only just realized that. Before we figure out what the heck is going on with this girl's back here, the pants of this girl back here, we're gonna do her sister up here in the front. So since we have Mintaka, I'm kind of thinking that I want to name these other girls also after stars in Orion. And no, I don't think I'm going to use Betelgeuse. For those who are not familiar, the stars in Orion, and I'm doing this complete without looking. I'll show you. I am actually watching a YouTube video right now, and there's not the constellation in front of me. So the stars are as follows: Betelgeuse, Bellatrix, Maisa, Alnilam, Alnalak, Mintaka, Safe, and Rigel. So it's a 3-3-2 system. And this is just the main ones, not the beta and whatever Orionids that make up the sword of Orion. Just to write them out, we have... Alright, so that is the entire list of the main 8 stars of Orion. So I need to find a way to put the constellation in here somewhere. I wish I actually thought of that while I was still in the line art, or in the sketching phase. Thinking that the bottom of this girl's plaid is about there. So while we do the line art for the background, I'm going to keep in mind the names. I'm definitely not going to use Betelgeuse, and I'm not going to use Maisa. And that's because I already have... If I'm not going to use Maisa, the same logic applies for using Alnilam and Rigel. In my trilogy of books that I'm working on, I have characters named after Rigel, Alnilam, and Maisa. So that kind of leaves just Alnatak, Mintaka, Safe, and Bellatrix. Bella is already a name, so while we ruminate on possible names, let's do the background. Oh, those windows do not look even to me. Alright, we'll put the floor even to that. All right. So that's the end of the line art. So let's get everything erased. So sketch is gone. I think we're gonna work from this way over when it comes to our characters. So we're going to give her orange eyes. Those only look a little cockeyed. Gonna give her pretty dark hair. Don't think the number 5 will cut it, so let's go in with the number 6. Trying to be very careful with this brush. The end of it is a little blunt for these tiny spaces. I wanted to make her pants pretty dark, so we're gonna kind of dab up some of this shadow here. I will wait on the pants because otherwise I will make it bleed into the next area. So we're gonna use the same color as her hair on the base of the statue here. Might have to go back in and redo some of the line art here. I think for these girls' names, the girl in the front is going to be Bellatrix. And then I think the girl back here is gonna go by the name Safe. Could be like her weird alternative nickname for Sophia or Sophia, since I'm actually watching a Sophia Nygaard video right now. I think I'm gonna do a darker brown color for her shirt. So let's mix a tiny bit of black with a good amount of orange and see how that goes. Now this stuff, unlike the sepia from the other day, actually mixes up very easily. The pigments don't seem to settle out as much as the other one did. I did put the shaker beads in it just in case. However, it doesn't give me as much trouble. I'm gonna need a lot more orange in it than that. Wasting a lot of ink on this. Way too much black in the first place. Maybe I'll separately mix that with a little bit more orange just on my brush. That's more the color I'm thinking. I probably should have mixed the orange with some of my ink wash instead of the straight black ink, but didn't think of that until just now. Since we have a lot of this terracotta color, I think this is the color we're going to make their hair. Didn't realize I didn't zoom you guys in. I think we'll also do her earrings in orange. And her pants are gonna be this burnt orange color. So once all of this over here is dry, I'm going to actually make her shirt plaid. All right, so while we're waiting on them to dry, why don't we work on the statue lady? So first, before we do anything, let's do the orange gem. So everything else about her, besides the stars on her tabard here, is going to be in a gray. I think we're gonna go with a medium tone gray. So number 3 or number 4? We'll go with number 3. Everything else behind them will be number 2 or 1. I think these stars I'm just going to color in white or orange. The orange one will be easier for me to quickly paint around without making too many lines everywhere. I just picked up the number 4 ink and not the number 3. Gotta work quickly. Oh, I just remembered that her hand is also going to be this color, so I don't need to carefully go around it. Adoy. I'm just going through and adding the slightest hint of shading. I think I'm going to go in and fill in the white of her eye with gray as well, because it's just a little weird to have it be stark white as opposed to everything else. It's rare that I go in early with white liner, but I just want to see what it looks like to have the constellation lines. We will add more shading onto the gem in a minute. Let's go in and add some shading to her shirt and her pants and get started on the plaid. So let's try using this flat brush, because the round brushes I have are just a little bit too blunt. At one point, I'm going to have to switch up the style of plaid that I draw, but I don't think tonight is going to be that night. I put 2 thick lines next to each other. While we wait on her plaid to dry, let's give Mintaka a skin tone. We'll make it the same color as the stone. And we better not forget the Rip Center jeans. I think I need to go in with a more brown tone for the side of her head, so. So the plaid should be dry, and I've decided that I'm just going to give safe light pants. So I'm going to use probably the number 6 wash on her shirt. Alright, and also gonna do her necklace. We're gonna add like some shadowing and shines to the sign to see whether or not we can make it actually look metallic. I don't know what color I want her sweatshirt to be. I'm thinking it's just gonna be a very light orange. I don't like that color. That's better. The other one was a little bit too gray. Now we have to figure out what the heck we're gonna do for everything else. Oh, and also, she's a number 3 wash. I think I want the floor to be primarily in number 1. The wall and the pillars will be in number 2. No! How did I know that was gonna happen? Oh right, because that ink is still wet. Alright, we'll have to do something about that in a minute. We will be able to do the rest of the background in a second. I'm thinking of going in with a very light orange on the windows. Dang it. Now I'm gonna have to go into the windows with an orange color. Cool. So since we have this nice splotch of orange up here, we're going to have to go in and do an orange tone up here. I think we're going to do kind of a darker color than we did on the girl's sweatshirt and do some dark orange, or at least darker orange inside of these circles. It feels unbalanced having this other circle being hidden behind there, but it doesn't make sense to have the circle over here when the triangle would not be complete. So we will let that dry and work a little bit on shading for the pillars. Also, there's a splotch there that I forgot to get with So we're also going to go in with the slightest hint of orange along the ground back here. I don't know when this happened, but we're gonna have to go along the side of her face with some white. I'm also gonna real quick go through and reline these. Oh, Rosebud! Rosie. Rosebud. What are you doing? Shit. No. Alright. So the way I usually fix rips in paper like that is I just cut off the offending paper with an X-Acto knife. The texture will be different now, but could be worse. Gonna be very careful to rip away from the piece now. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching me work on this piece. Tomorrow's prompt word is dizzy. If you feel so inclined, hit that subscribe button and check me out on my other social media handles. Thanks, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.